Schaffer. Thank you very much for listening to my introduction. Only a few minutes I will give a short introduction to the professor's research areas and her books about her books, and then I will give the floor to the professor. Professor Brenda Şafferin is a foremost specialist on global energy trends and policies, European energy security, politics in the South Caucasus, ethnic politics in Iran, as well as Caspian and Eastern Mediterranean energy. She is a senior fellow at the Atlantic Council's Global Energy Center in Washington, D.C., and a visiting researcher and professor at Georgetown University. Professor Schaffer is the author of several books. For example, Energy Politics, Borders and Britain, Iran and the Challenge of Azerbaijan Identity, and Partners in Need, the Strategic Relationship of Russia and Iran. One of her books, namely Energy Politics, served as a textbook on the geopolitics of energy in over 200 university courses. She has given testimony to several committees on the U.S. Congress, including the Senate Foreign Relations Committee and to the European Parliament. She frequently appears on CNBC to provide insight on developments in the global oil market and in major news outlets worldwide on events in the Caspian region and Middle East. Schaffer frequently provides research and expert counsel to international institutions, governments, international energy companies, and regional security organizations, such as NATO, on energy security policies. Now I give the floor to Professor Schaffer, and we are looking for your
Thank you. I'm very excited to be here at Western University. I was even here in this building during the first year of your university and throughout many years. So students look the same age, but maybe I changed a bit since then. Sorry? So this is going to be a very informed, this is not a lecture. I'm going to be making a few points. We're going to do some work together. And I want all the time for you to just raise your hand, disagree, interrupt, say your opinion. The only thing you have to do is say your name first and maybe one sentence about yourself. Hi, my name is Binay and I'm second year this, that, something you want to say. Okay, any questions so far? Okay, so your professors asked me, I've taught in many universities in the United States, in Georgetown, in the United States, in Harvard, in Israel, in the University of Haifa. I've taught at ADA University, given lectures here at Western, at Khazar, and your professors asked me, are there difference among the students? Do you find, or among the universities, is it very, very different? And I think there is a difference. First thing, there's a difference over time. We're living in an era, and can you guys in the back, you can hear me there? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Am I English? Yeah? We're okay? We're all okay? Okay. So we're living in an era, right, where we think we have lots of information, right? Everywhere is information, right? But we might even be living in an era where we have lots of text, but do we really have information? And even when we have information, do we really have the skills to have accurate information? I mean, anything you've been taught in high school, in university, here in Western, in Masters, that really teaches you when do I know something is garbage and when do I know something is good, to have those skills. Do you have anything in your studies where you actually work on data? Anyone? Do you have any course on this? So again, we're in this era, we think information age, right? It's been called information age. What information age, right? We're in the disinformation age, right? Where text is used, it's coming at us all the time, every hour. Your phones are probably on at night. You're hardly even getting a night's sleep, right? We're in the disinformation age. And we have very little skills on how to get through all this text and somehow to find something that's close to that is the truth or close to the truth. So a few things in your academic work. First thing, you can find a footnote. Do you guys know what a footnote? Someone translate it? Yeah. You can find a reference, a footnote for anything, right? So finding the fact that you make a point and you refer it to this newspaper, it's meaningless. Because you can find a footnote. If I want to say, eating gorilla meat makes you tall, I will find find a footnote for this. Somewhere in the internet there's a reference, right? So your task is still to not just, okay, I found something I can refer, so therefore I'm okay. No, your task is to use your brain and think, wait, is this really true? Is this really, and if I have two footnotes with opposite ideas, I have to decide, right? So one is to take responsibility, and then second, if you're already going to use footnotes, they have to be high, very quality, at least what could help you. For instance, if going to academic journals themselves, they're not perfect, but they have some sort of process, usually peer review, reference, editorial. There's some sort of intervention, at least externally. Or when you go to media, let's say today we have something very new. And can you guys hear me in the back? Pink shirt. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? No, I guess not. Can you hear me? Yes. Sorry. What's your name? What's your name?
My name is
Okay.
Zarina.
Zarina, okay. Zarina, can you hear me? You're going to be my test every time. No? Okay. First thing, we have today a new phenomena because of the internet, right? It used to be to publish a journal. You needed some money, you needed a lot of time, right? So this was some kind of selection process. It didn't mean every journal was perfect, but at least it meant there was some sort of permanence. There were people investing some kind of money in these journals. Right now, everyone, you want a journal? Again, what's your name?
Ilchin.
Ilchin Journal. Okay, yeah. It's online tomorrow, but Ilchin publishes different articles, and it could be now ilchin.org, and we have a journal, right? So now we have tons of organizations that create information, right? So I'll give an example about, can you think of one site, for instance, that publishes a lot of so-called research about this region and about Azerbaijan? Give me an example sometime, so you see online.
I'm sorry, I didn't get it.
So for instance, online, many students quote, I can think of one website, for instance, that's quoted a lot in student papers.
Yeah, Azerbaycan.com, for example, it's online encyclopedia of Azerbaijan.
And it's a wiki-type encyclopedia or it's a real encyclopedia?
It's a library. But no, it's not open source. So you cannot edit. If you're a simple user, you cannot edit.
Okay, but take something like EurasiaNet. Have you guys ever used this? So basically, so their goal is not just I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but their goal is not just I'll publish straight information and whatever it is. Their goal is they have a certain angle or a certain agenda, right? So in general, I would say stay away from any sources that have an agenda, because obviously they're gonna publish something that's very has a slant bias. Yeah. Second is you have to always know who the author is, right? So if you find a website, I know sometimes there's a website that has a lot of so-called, let's say a lot of disinformation about energy. So it's www.imundi.com. I have no idea what that is. I get students all the time because it's very accessible, right? It's easy, okay? What is the production rate of Venezuelan oil? They Google it, it comes up, right? But I have no idea. None of us know who puts that information there. So it could be right, it could be wrong. But it's sort of like if you were hungry and there was a pizza outside in the hall on the floor in a box. Smells nice, looks good, but you have no idea who put it there. Would you eat it? You wouldn't eat it, right? You want to know who touched this, who made it, right? I'm not going to just put something. So the same thing, why would you wouldn't put in your body a pizza that you don't know its origin, but you put in your brain data that you don't know its origin, right? So always know who wrote it. So therefore, for instance, you can't use something like Wikipedia. Wikipedia means that, I know my first time I wrote an encyclopedia entry, I was in a Turkish encyclopedia, I worked 1 year on it. I mean, not only that, but 1 year back and forth, checking data, discussing with the editor, debating, showing it to colleagues. This is an encyclopedia. This is something I have responsibility towards students, towards other scholars, right? I remember my son, when he was 12 years old, he told me he completed 10 entries in Wikipedia already that he had done. I said, well, I'm very proud of my boy, but still, he probably shouldn't be setting at 10, 11, 12 years old the state of scholarship on different historical issues, right? So using Wikipedia is like a pizza you find outside. Maybe it's good, maybe it's not, who knows, but you really can't use it for academic work. A way to be careful is use primary data, right? So instead of quoting what someone says about Putin, right? When like someone, let's say today, all sorts of different sites, and see what they're saying about Trump's doctrine. Sorry?
Or Russian today, opposite.
Yeah, okay, or Russian, right. Or a Sputnik, or a Rossiyska Sobotnia, or this. Or go to whitehouse.gov, read the speech, read the doctrine, you decide what it says there. I'll be honest, I don't own a television set. 25 years, I've really never watched television. I don't let the news tell me what Trump said or what Putin said or Xi said. I decide, I read the document and decide. Don't let the pictures of the news decide for you what happened. Any question, comment so far? No? So another reason to use primary sources, right? The data itself, the document itself, it not only is it more reliable, but it actually will give you better skills for real life. Like if you go from here, you do your master's, your PhD, and let's say you don't want to stay in the university, but you want to go work in the MFA or work for a company or work as a journalist or something, right? Well, in the real world, no one says to you, okay, summarize the articles about Iran's foreign policy, let's say. Give me, let's say I'm foreign minister, I'm about to go off to Tehran. Give me the history of Iran. No, they're going to ask you, hey, what's going on between Iran and Azerbaijan? What's going on Iran, US? Give me the updated information, right? How are you going to do that? You're not going to go to some history book or some theoretical book with different paradigms and making a summary. So if you really want to prepare yourself for government, for journalism, for companies, you have to know how to do original research. So let's take a few examples. Start with the New York Times article about fracking associated with smaller babies. Towards the end, does anyone know, can someone explain to the group what fracking is? Maybe it's a word that everyone doesn't know. Does someone know what fracking is? Okay, so in the US right now, it's a way of producing oil and gas from rock formations. Maybe you know that the United States has become the top producer of oil in the world and one of the top producers of natural gas in the last 20 years. And it's because of the technology called fracking. It's a certain way, it's a different way of pulling oil and gas out of the ground than let's say, the way you do it in the Caspian, which is called like conventional production. This is fracking, which is more about putting liquids into rocks. Okay, but the rest of the article you should. So read it, and then I'm going to ask you guys some questions. Read it and think what's maybe wrong with this article. Okay? It's towards the end. Fracking associated with smaller babies.
Azərbaycanla qarşıtdıqlar, ben sizin Shell Oil'da neft çıxartırlar. Azərbaycandakı neft çıxartma metodundan fərqlidir. Bunlar neft çıxardığında torpağa, o daş olan suturlara xüsusi maye qataraq onu bir növə əridirlər ki, rahat olsun oradan nefti çıxartmaq. Və bu üsulu adına bir növə həmin o qayalardan neft çıxartmaq üçün istifadə edilən metoda fracking deyir. Balaca uşaqlar iddia budur ki, bu üsuldan neft çıxaranda uşaqların, yeni doğan uşaqların boyu baladır. Okuyoruz karar vereceğiz.
It's not enough that there's a footnote, and they use very low quality footnotes.
You know, we are talking about flawed information. Let's take say spam information, okay? About the wrong information, about the data which are probably overloaded by the internet, okay? So if you are going to make an exit research, to make it, to take a good, how can I say, the exit research of some material, we have to be science. So we have to adopt ourselves. It's my opinion, okay? We have to, you know, to make agreement with some science. It's also, for example, I will give the information, but try to make it compare with another model, okay? For example, Islam, okay? We have talked about Iran, Middle East. My diploma work was a Middle East company. There are so many topics, you know, we are in Islam, they are calling by mazhab. I don't know, you know this meaning or not. It's just, for example, the base of the Islam by the science, okay? The science guys, for example, Imam Hanafi or another ones. And in Islam, we have some opportunities for ourselves to make our life easy. If you don't know something, but you have to learn it, you have to follow something, you have to follow.
That's why, you know, you hear this argument a lot about Wikipedia. I think it's more dangerous than no information. I prefer to say, well, maybe it's not perfect, but it's something. It's more dangerous than having no knowledge. But no, let's have this discussion.
Okay, of course.
Okay, so can someone raise, right? So this should be the best media, right? This should be the most reliable media you could imagine, right? And can someone raise their hand and translate the title? Okay.
You want to translate it?
The title, yeah. Or explain what this means.
Okay, they are associated with breaking process with their growth process of small babies. They say that this process is not dependent on their maternity period, but it has its value, has its influence on their ground period, on their period from first year and for the next 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, in the womb, actually.
No, in the womb, they say that in the womb it's not so.
No, it's in the womb. It means the birth rate.
Gestation age.
They say that certain for persons more likely to be small for gestation age than those born in areas.
Hamilelik dövründe gestation age.
Yes.
Ana bakımında yani.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So
I understand that they not mean that maternity period. They mean that the period of their birth and after.
Yeah, so this is for their birth. Okay, so if you're just, now how a lot of you read news, right? You're just, you know, looking through your Facebook and you don't really read the article, right? The New York Times says fracking's dangerous, right? Isn't that what you understand? If I don't read the whole article, I'm saying, wow, if people, this fracking process that they're doing in America, it's really bad. It's leading to all these small babies being born, which means less healthy babies. Something is really bad, right? So most of us never get past the first title, right? Half the news you're reading just headlines. You're just on the bus, on the metro, going through your Facebook, reading these headlines, right? Maybe Twitter headline or 140, sorry? Yeah, just liking it, right? Yeah, so mothers who live close to these wells had very small babies, okay? So you could think, yes, there must be some connection between this process and bad health, right? But what do you know also, and you can even think of this from Azerbaijan, which people generally live close to the wells? What kind of people? What would you say describes people who live close to like an oil field, usually? Even in Baku, even in... Huh? Okay, poor, right? So poor people, what is one thing you would know about their diet, for instance?
Not healthy.
Not healthy diet, poor nutrition, right? So it could be the fracking, but it doesn't say causation, right? The fact that there's connection doesn't mean causality. Can you explain that?
bir şeyin arasında.
Okay, so what's another hint that we're in the right direction, that something here isn't exactly right? Where was this article published? No, the article, the research. Okay, plus one. Does anyone know what plus one is? Okay, so can someone look, can you look up now in Google what's plus one?
Bir jurnaldır, amma maraqlı tərəfi Wikipedia kimi open source. Open source nə deməkdir? İstənilən istifadəçi girib içindəki məlumatları dəyişmək və öz məqalələrini yerdə tutma ehtimalı var.
Okay, so for instance, if I'll ask your professor sitting here, Rashad, I'm going to ask you a question. If you're a professor and you're doing a serious research, right? Where do you want to, from the teachers here, where do you want to publish? What kind of journals? Peer-reviewed, impact factor, right? So if you're a scientist doing all this work, a serious research about gestational age, pollution, if it's a serious research, you're going to be at least in some medium journal, something, Journal of Environmental Science, New England Journal of Medicine, Epidemiology, Science, some journal that has some scientific value. So if you're publishing on plus one, it probably means you tried all these important places and they rejected it. You said, okay, I'll put it on open source, at least to have it out, right? So it means it's probably not, it means scientists all over looked at this article and rejected it. Now, it doesn't mean it's wrong, because sometimes science is conservative and doesn't like new ideas, but it raises the chances that it was a poorly conducted study, that it wasn't, that the scientists saw this, and so for instance, how would your New York Times, can you publish a research based on this open source with no criticism, no saying, but scientists have said this and that, okay? So, sorry. Yeah, okay. Okay.
Kısa xülasəli şəkildə onu tərcümə. Yıxıldı muhabbətə, when saying also you're saying something, okay? Just in a short brief,
Okay.
You can see that the reaction cannot be mentioned.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so let's. Yeah.
Professor deyir ki, hansısa bir ciddi akademik məqalə, ciddi akademik yazı hazırlayanda siz mütləq baxmalısınız ciddi akademik jurnallara, kitablara və s. Və bu jurnallarda peer-reviewed, yəni bir müəllif yazır və həmin sahədə başqa müəlliflər həmin məqaləni təmin edirlər. Bundan uzun bir prosesdən sonra bu məqalə həmin jurnalda dərc edilir. Həmçinin jurnalların təsir gücü var, rəqəmləri var, statistiklər. Yəni hansı jurnallar daha yaxşıdırsa, elmdə daha çox geniş qəbul edirsə, onlardan istifadə etməlisiniz. Lakin bu plus-one o deməlidir ki, burada istənilən adam öz yazısını dərc edə bilər və bu da bunu göstərir ki, bu məqaləni verən adam birinci məqalələri göndərib ən yaxşı jurnallara, həmin jurnallara baxırlar ki, bu ciddi məqalə deyil, onu rədd edirlər. O da axırda fikirləşib ki, onda qoy mən bunu paylaşım online source-da, onsuz da heç kim bunu yoxlamayacaq, istədiyim bir şey paylaşa bilər. Və professor deyir ki, ola bilər ki, alimlər mühafizəkar olduğu üçün yeni ideyaları qəbul etmirlər. Və buna görə də həqiqətən də yaxşı məqalələr akademik jurnallarda dərc edilir. Lakin əgər bir məqalə akademik jurnallar tərəfindən rədd edilirsə, bu bizə kifayət qədər əsas verir ki, biz inanaq ki, bu məqalə əslində yaxşı deyil, ciddi araşdırma aparılmayıb və bu məqalənin elmi bazası yoxdur. Buna görə də əgər nədən istifadə etsəz, mütləq elmi bazası olan jurnallara, ciddi jurnallara baxın və oradakı məqalələri oxuyun.
Okay. So let's try another example. During the article of the Washington Post, 59,000 farmer suicides. Can someone translate suicide? Okay. That you guys know. You don't know fracking, but you know suicide. Okay. Okay, so read this article, 2 pages, and saying,
məsələlər mənə çox yaxındır. Mən istərim ki, bir neçə məqama deyin biləsiniz. Azərbaycanda neftin sənaye üstündən çıxılması təxminən 170 illik bir dövrəmədir. 170 ilin 23 ilini çıxır. Ona qədər ki, dövrə baxsanız, o zaman heç bir ekoloji qayda yapıb təhlükəsiz məsələsi olmuyor. Eğer bir neçə rəqəmi səsləndirsəm, özünüz üçün də çox ötədə tələbə görünəbdir, amma o həqiqətdir. 1949-cu ildən dənizdən neftin hasilatına başlandıqlarında demək, əsrin müqaviləsinə qədər ki, dövlət haqqında çıxarma zamanı, hasilat zamanı dənizə atılan neftin limonu miqdarı 4 milyon tondan çoxdur. Nədən ibarətdir? O zaman Sovet Dövlətinin strateji və enerji mürafiqatını təmin etmək üçün ekoloji məsələlər bəlkə də heç ümumiyyətlə nəzərdə tutulurdu və bu dəhşətli istismar nəticəsində 1997-ci ilə qədər dövrlərdə 360 milyon ton dənizdən çıxarılmışdır. Amma bu teoride biz bir yaxınlarda 2 milyar ton çıxarılmasından olan belə bir arasında keçirdik. Mən ona istədiyim ki, ən çox zərər görən Abşeron sizin torpaqlarıdır ki, burada demək, bizim həkimlərin hesablamalarına görə 18-20% Abşeron yerindən torpağı ölü torpağına çıxarılır. Yəni o artıq heç bir istifadəyə yararlı olmadı və çox şükürlər olsun ki, bu müstəqillik bizə çox şey verir və bu konuda mən ona istədiyim ki, əsri müqaviləsi zamanında ekoloji məsələ ön plana çəkilir. Yəni, hal-hazırda bizim dövlət şirkətinin nəzdində demək, ekoloji idarələr və ekoloji məsələlərə vitse-prezident vəzifəsindən sonra çox yaşımızın güzel bir kanal olarak vermelidir ve o meselelere çok dikkat edilir. Ve ben ona dediğim ki, burada neft çıkarma inşaatlar varca demek Bakı'nın 3 bölgesinde Diveyve, Suraxanı ve Balaxanı hissesinde demek bu dəhşətli neft hasilatı neticəsində orada yaşayanlar arasında en çok yayılan mesele demək, kəndə sürüyünün, çənə sürüyünün xərçənci xəstəliyi çox şey. Yəni, Dövlətə tam çıxışanda o məsələyə toxunur ki, o məhbulların yanında yaşayanlar, onun yaxınlarında yaşayanlar, bunlar bizim ümumiyyətlə Bakı əhalisi üçün, Bakı şəhəri üçün və Dövlətə Abşeron yanında çox böyük demək, problemlər yaratılır və yəqin ki, bizim bu Olimpiya stadionunu tikilən yer əvvəldə Səbədə şimdi yəqin ki, çoxlarını görmüşdü. İndi orada təmizlənəndən sonra o çox böyük müddətdə vəsait tələb olunur ki, oranın təmizləsinlər, çünki oranın ekoloji vəziyyəti çox dəhşətli vəziyyətdir və heç də təsəvvür deyil ki, bizim dövlətin ekoloji məsələləri Nazirliyin təsir etməsi təsəvvür xəraktər daşınır. Buna görə də o enerji resurslarından istifadə edərkən bir şöbədə neft və qaz məsələsində əlbəttə ki, ekoloji məsələlər ortaya çıxırdı və çox şükürlər olsun ki, indi vaxtilə o Qara şəhərdən hissəki var, bu dövlətimizin qərarıyla Ağşəhərliyə və orada mən anda deyilsin ki, həmin o tarihdə, daha doğrusu köynə neft ayırma müəssisələri hamısı oradan köçürüləcək. Çünki siz Bakının, Abşeronun, ümumiyyətlə Xəzərin o neft və zəngin olan hissələri o qədər üzrə yerləşir ki, başqa ölkələrdə kimi deyil. Məsələn, Balaxlarda belə yer var ki, 40 santimetrdən sən o lapaqqa ilə qazı neft çıxır. Özə Bakı nefti, ümumiyyətlə, xüsusilə Xəzər neftinin dünyanın heç bir analogu yoxdur. Kimyəvi tərkibinə görə orada kükürdün ümumi miqdarı 0,1%, 0,1-0,3%. O qədər təmizdir. Hətta mən onu da sizə deyim ki, 2 boyu qeydə alınıb, bir suraxanda və biri də vaxtanda çəkiləcək. Amma onlar ünvanın deməyəsin, kimsə düşür, gedib onları axtarsın. Orada torpaq özü nefti emal edir. İndi inanmarsınız, yəni ki, bu necə olur? Təmiz benzin çıxır. Emal prosesindən keçmədən demək çıxır və o tərkibinə görə 85% təmiz benzin çıxır. Yəni o qədər zəngindir. Bax, bu nöqteyi nəzərdən əlbəttə ki, bura bir sual verəcəksiniz ki, Nobellər niyə gəlmişdir? Rothschildlər niyə gəlmişdir? İngilislər niyə gəlmişdir və çoxları üçün bəlkə də tərkib olur ki, elə ki, dünya müharibəsinə başlanır bir səbəblərindən də əsas amillərdən biri Bakı neftidir və buna təsdiq edən bir fikir olur ki, məsələn, Winston Churchill çıxışında dedi ki, əgər neft kralıqdırsa, Bakı onun kralıqdır. Görün bu sözün arxasında nələr verir. Ona görə də Armanın qaldırdığı, professorun qaldırdığı məsələ bizim üçün, xüsusilə Azərbaycan üçün çox aktual bir məsələdir. Ona görə də dövlətimiz əlbəttə ki, bu məsələyə çox böyük diqqət edir. Məsələn, nədən ibarətdir? Bax, bizim demək, neft şirkəti nəzdində 2 sahil qəzeti demək tanıyırsa, onlar hər il xüsusi buraxılış nəşr edir. O buraxılışda ekoloji məsələlər çox geniş şəkildə öz əksini alır. Və mən bunları sizə diqqətinizə çatdırım. Biləsiniz ki, yəni bizim üçün bu məsələ aktual, yəni ekoloji məsələlər və əhalimizin sağlamlığının qorunması üçün bu məsələlər çox aktual. Bakıda artıq bir neçə milyon insan sakin yaşayır. Əlbəttə ki, onların sağlamlığı çox böyük bir məsələ. Diqqətlərlə təşəkkür ederim.
Okay, so we have the article about the suicides, right? Okay, so can someone say where was this article published? Right? Also should be pretty serious, right? So can someone explain the title? Raise your hand. Say your name. What does this mean? Okay. No, I want them to make sure that, like, if you're just reading, you're on Facebook, you're reading, what does this mean? What do you understand?
Yani izah etmek manasında kim izah edebilir?
Okay, we have someone ready. Okay, what's your name? What's your name? Arzu. Arzu, what does this mean? What does it mean?
It says that like farmers, they committed suicide in India over 30 years, and it can be related to the climate change,
Right.
global warming.
Okay, so good. So this, you're reading this and you're going, oh my God, all these farmers committing suicide because of climate change. This is really, really bad, right? So we start looking, just be a little careful, read the article. So every year, thousands of Indian farmers commit suicide, and a researcher thinks this has to do with climate change, right? So this researcher's name, what's the name of the research? Carlton. Okay, so I actually went to UC Berkeley, to the university, and I looked which department Tama is in, which if you're researching suicide, motivation for suicide, which department should you be in, your researcher? Psychology, right? That would be, psychology would understand, or research would try to understand why someone commits suicide, yes? Okay, so it could be sociology, right?
It's the first one, and local kind. It's just establish the kind of suicide, several suicides.
Okay, so it could be sociology, it could be psychology, right?
Yes, it's psychology.
Okay, but Tama is in the Department of Environmental Studies. Okay, so she actually isn't trained to look at what causes a human to do the most unnatural thing, right? To kill themselves. But her research is about environment and also her activities, right? So she would actually be pretty happy if the reason they're committing suicide is climate, right? Because that suits her policy. And this article, where was it published? The original research? Yes, that's actually a very serious publication, definitely with peer review, but it's not disciplinary. I mean, it's not psychologists necessarily looking at this research, but it's multidisciplinary journal, but it is a serious place. And what does the author of this article say? Why is this very, very dangerous that there's a link between climate change and suicide? Who's to blame? Well, of course, Trump. Trump's fault, right? Everything is Trump's fault, right? So this is the problem because Trump is pulling out of Paris, meaning that they have here the article, they want you to support Paris Agreement. They want you to be against Trump. And one of the reasons is because people are committing suicide, right? But actually, so how does she put a link between suicide and climate change? How does she explain it? So she says suicide rates go down when the rain starts, right? Right? But what's a lot of things that happen once the rain starts? For instance, it's not as hot, right? In India, you have 40 degrees. Yeah, I would commit suicide too, if I was there working in the farm, right? So what the factor is, there are more suicides during the hot seasons, less suicides during the rainy season. But we have no information about why. And only a psychologist or sociologist maybe could figure out why. An environmental specialist couldn't actually help us understand the psyche. So again, a connection is in causality, to translate.
Əlaqə səbəb nəticə deməkdir.
And also the main point, just it's my offer, okay, for students, okay, when you are reading an article and then you are looking to the headline, you have to, how can I say, make identification for yourself. Here is writing that 59,000 farmers, okay, in the case of some climate change, they make a suicide. But that's just over some 1 billion people in India, and it's not only farmers are making the suicide. The first problem is that, okay, climate change can be the cause for a suicide. But it's not only for farmers, for all the nations, that's the first. That's the second, religion status, okay? If we are talking about India, you have to make identification for yourself. They have a caste system. You know castes? Yeah. They have a caste system also, yes? So for example, for more people of India, as I understood from their religion, after the feast, they can be resurrected in a form of another animal also. For a farmer or for a very poor person who is in a lawless caste system.
This will be our last exercise today. This is a very professional data site, Energy Wire. So I think we have one page and a couple. Read this very quickly.